Cheers.
Cheers.
Beep.
I got me some red wine here. That was Lint.
Hot.
Everything's fine.
I'm Lorrie.
And I'm Mel. Welcome to the chaos. Welcome all to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
How was
your weekend?
Oh, I already asked.
Oh, the game was cool, but we lost.
I know, which is funny because they haven't lost any of their home games so far.
They haven't?
No.
Oh my god. Me and Travis were okay, granted, I'm gonna say this. You tell me if I'm wrong or something. But this is my first WNBA game. Shout out to you. My first WNBA game. And I've been to I haven't been to too many NBA games either. But I've been to a few other NBA games. And now I don't want to compare, but I just feel like the defense was not good, not very good.
Well, you also went to a game that they lost, so they weren't playing at their best. But mind you, they played 2 games before this game this week, and some of them came back from the Olympics. So,
I don't think you watched. I didn't know
they
that.
came back some of them came back from the Olympics, and then they played a game on Thursday and on Tuesday.
Okay, well, maybe that was why, but I was like, damn, this team is and it's not even how they weren't far back. It was a pretty close game. But I was just like, damn, what's going on? Hustle, ladies, hustle. And it wasn't,
I'm going to be very defensive here, but I'm going to say it's because it's the game that you went to.
I know,
because every time I brought people...
Maybe I just came on a bad night. But, again, this is my first WNBA game. I didn't really know what to expect. You know what I mean? So it's just I came in and I was like, damn, I'm rooting for my team. I'm rooting for my home team, obviously. And, there were 3 girls that were hitting them. So it was, I remember their names, thankfully. It was Brianna, right? Brianna?
Yeah, she was on the Olympics team, yeah.
Okay, so Brianna, but she was shooting them. Boom, boom, boom.
She's pretty consistent, yeah. She's one of the top players.
She was going crazy. And then Sabrina
Ionescu, yeah, she's another top. She was also on the Olympic team.
Okay, and then there was another girl with a face mask on. I forget her name.
Oh,
maybe she usually plays with a face mask. Okay, her, yes.
No, face masks are usually, especially in the NBA, is because probably a small injury had happened to their face, so the face mask keeps your face rigid so that, you don't get too hurt again. She had it on the last game, so.
I figured that. Right, I figured that. But I'm just I was just damn, and I guess maybe the other team was very good too. They were playing the Connecticut Suns.
Yeah, they're. I think they're a pretty good team. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good. They had this really, really tall player that she would just appear. I was just like, okay, where the fuck did you come from? I don't remember her name, but I think her number was 22. She was good, and then there was another maybe shorter girl that was really, really good who also came out of nowhere. But there was one point in the game where one of the team members from the Liberty kept fouling. And maybe I'm saying the terms wrong, please correct me. But she kept fouling, and she was on top of one of the girls from the other team, on top of her. She could not get off of her. And I guess she was so on top of her that she slid back. This girl pushed her back, the girl from the other team, and then the girl from our team sat down and she slid back on the floor. And it looked like they was about to fight. I was like, oh shit, it's getting a little crazy. Yeah, that was a little weird, and they were deliberating about it. But towards the end of the game, I feel like our team had a shot maybe to catch up and win, and they just gave it up in the last 15 seconds of the game. And I was like, what is that about? I was like, yeah, I'm not even gonna try to get a couple threes or anything. I was like, what's going on? I was gonna ask you, I was like, do they usually like just throw the game like that? Like,
no. But I also think that they're tired. It's their third game in a matter of like 5 days. So I don't think they're playing at their best, to be honest. And no, they don't do that. But they're also in a good standing right now through the season. That it wouldn't be terrible for them to lose a game. They're in good standing in terms of like playoffs ranking. That it wouldn't be like a shame to lose like a game. But I think they retired, honestly. Because 3 games in 5 days is a lot.
Okay. All right. So it was just like a rough night.
Yeah, it was a rough night.
But I mean, like, I had fun. Unfortunately, we got there kind of late, and we got there like right before halftime. Usually, it was just like the train was just like really annoying. But we got a good chunk of the game, and we saw them play. You know, they played well. It was just like I was like, damn, like they weren't on like the good defense that I wanted to see, but. It was fun. It was fun anyways. The halftime was a little interesting because they had 2 girls do spoken word poetry.
Oh, that.
Yeah. And I was like, that's interesting. And I was like, this is like way too big of a stadium for spoken word poetry. I feel like spoken word poetry is like intimate vibes and like, you know, but they did their thing. Ellie the Elephant was my favorite though.
Well, yeah. Charlie loves Ellie the Elephant. I was like, Ellie do her like dances and stuff.
This girl can, and the way she was pleasing the crowd, she was giving her all. I was living for her. I'm like, yes, go off, girl.
I think for most mascots, there's at least like maybe a couple of people that play the mascot. But like me and Charlie's theory was like, it's either like tall black girl or like a gay man, because some of the mannerisms I want to say gives me gay man sassiness.
Yeah, you know what? I'm cool with those theories. Because I was wondering, to me and Travis were like, what do you think is underneath that costume? Like, do you think it's different people? Like, what do you think?
It's got to be at least like, a couple. Like, I feel like most mascots are 1 or 2 people at the very least, because, you know, it's a lot. I'm not sure about WNBA, but I know in college I think it just depends. Like, some mascots are just 1 person, but other times, like, it's 2 people. There could be more, but, you know, it's pretty common to have about 2 people do it. But I feel like it's the same person when we go to the home games sometimes. Because, like, the dances seem pretty, like, all the mannerisms seem pretty similar. So I'm not sure. But it could be 1 or 2 people. But maybe the home games, it's the same person. Who knows? Because I feel like the sassiness is the same every time. So, like, maybe it is 1 person.
I was living. My favorite was the guy that was following her around with her purse.
Oh, with the purse?
That took me out.
She hands it to him sometimes, just like, hold it.
I was like, no, the whole time he was holding, like the whole time. He was just like this. Like, Ellie will go to one of the security people on the floor and like dance. And then the guy holding the purse would just be like right next to him, like, go off, Ellie. I was like, this is pure entertainment right now.
Sometimes sometimes she'll grab the purse to purposely like do a move and then hands it back to him.
Period. I loved it. I fucking loved it.
Oh yeah, she's
quality
the best.
Entertainment. That was great. That was great. No, but it was a fun time.
She's great.
It was a fun time. Travis there. We came out and the game ended, and he was like, all of the queers are here. All of them. This is queer central right now. He was like, I spotted like 3 trans guys just right now. I was like, yeah, I would expect that. And he was like, who knew? He was like, it feels like Fire Island here.
I I mean,
who do you allow to go to a WNBA game?
Not just like as a premise, guys. Not all WNBA players are gay, but there is a good amount of them. So yeah, there's gonna be a lot of gays there. And also like
queer.
Well, also like yeah, I mean the queers also I feel like will be the first people to try to support women's sport now that they're like getting bigger. And the Liberty does have some diehard fans from like, you know, who grew up in New York, and they still have their diehard fans. So it's cool that some of them are still there and stuff because it's still affordable enough where they're like good. And then yeah, there's a lot of gays there for sure.
Yeah. I was like, this is pretty awesome.
There's like, always like it's funny every time I see a TikTok about like a Liberty game. It's like someone gay and they're like came here to find a basketball wife, and the girl that I fell in love with, and it's Ellie the Elephant.
Fuck yes. I love her. I'm in love with her. I'm in love with her, low-key. Don't tell Travis.
Charlie every time. She's like, yes, Ellie!
I was living for her. The people in front of me were living for her. And behind me, they were living for her. They were like, go, Ellie! Go, Ellie! Go, Ellie! It was lit.
Yeah, we have good seats too because like me and Charlie are short, so it has like only that row in front and then the drop down, so there's not any more people in front of us.
Yeah,
because when I got
have you ever gotten a T-shirt like the ones that they?
No, it never goes to our section. Though the other day, the first time I ever saw them shoot one to the section above us, and they never shoot like in that corner. It kind of scared me because I heard the gun go off really close. I was like, oh, they never shoot over here.
Lorrie, yes, they shot like over us like twice, and then like on the opposite way, they shot it so freaking high, like up to the last seat above there.
We barely ever get shirts in our section.
Yeah, it didn't come to our section at all. I was like, damn, I'm a little sad. I wanted to.
Charlie does always get on the camera at least once, every once in a while.
Really?
Yeah, because she dances at like every time there's music, and she's she will stand and dance. She was up there like
music was fire. The music was fire. I'll say that. It was really cool. I liked it. I would like to come. I would like to come again another day. For sure. It was lit. How was Anime NYC?
You know, just us being weebs.
Love it.
In a sea of weebs. You know, we dressed as Nezuko and Zenitsu the first day. The wig hurt my head a little. Got this bumpy bump here.
Yeah.
You know,
what exactly hurt you?
It's the wig cap and the wig itself, because it's just the elastic on it. Because it's not like it was like a synthetic wig I got on like Amazon. It's not like I have a nice frontless wig, you know. So I'm not doing like the whole process.
You're not cutting the lace. You're not fucking doing it down, putting makeup on.
No, if it was a nicer wig, maybe, but no, it was not. It was just a cheap ass wig, so I just put a wig cap on to hold my hair in, you know, but it was the elastic. I think the elastic of the wig and the wig cap were pressing in this one spot together, and it. By the end of the day, I was like, my head hurts. And,
yeah.
And yeah, aside from that, I got a bunch of like art stuff. Kayla and Chris went, and we were just like hanging out.
Cool.
There were a lot of cool lot of cool cosplays and stuff, and it was huge because I went last year and it was only half of the Javits Center, and it was the full thing this year. So it was a lot.
The Javits again.
Mm-hmm.
Dope.
Well, last year was the first time it was ever in Javits. It was a lot smaller in like the last few years. I had only gone once the year before Javits, and then last year and this year. So yeah, it's huge. And, you know, I mean, anime fans have always been there, but I don't know if companies ever really put in as much effort into it, you know, for like cons like this. But, you know, I think the rising popularity and other stuff, I think companies are trying to put their money in it now. Which I know for like the weebs that have been to the small cons are maybe probably going to be upset about it because there's too many people, or the ones who are like, you know, I've liked anime forever, so all these other people I'm like, I also have, but I haven't been to a con before. I've watched anime since I was a kid. I've never been to a convention until I had adult money.
Exactly. And it's also have sympathy for those people who are entering the fandoms that you've been already. Like, don't you want the community to grow?
Well, that's how I feel about a lot of like video games and anime and like general nerd culture. It's always it's a whatever, and especially with like more women going into it. Not that we haven't been there; it's just that it was a hard place to be when it wasn't as popular. And maybe the popularity kind of helped a lot of like women in like the nerdy cultures of things to be like, you know what, I'm gonna go fucking go to these things. And I think that's great. And it doesn't mean that they're new fans. They're just, and maybe there are new fans, but who cares? I mean, it'll keep your shows going, if the money gets put towards it.
That's what
but
I'm saying.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it is a lot of people, but it was still manageable to like walk around.
Yeah.
And we're going to Comic-Con this year, though I think it might be my last year doing New York Comic-Con, because it's starting to get really big, and I just know it's going to be like a San Diego Comic-Con where there's too many people and a lot of sponsors and stuff, and it's going to be just hard to really be there. Granted, San Diego Comic-Con is known to have like really good panels and stuff if people are into that, but it's very overwhelming, and then New York Comic-Con's already pretty big, so.
Okay, cool.
But yeah,
I think I'd like to go. I mean, especially if you think you're not gonna go next year. I'd like to go. Your one last time with you and my first time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just specifically New York Comic Con. There's other cons we could probably go to. We also, I told you I went to FlameCon too the week before, last week. And that was fun.
Yeah.
We should go next year. Because it wasn't like super big, but it also wasn't super small. It was like a nice size convention.
I'm down.
Met a lot of queer artists. It's basically just like all of the artists are like Legibitiqua, like
love it,
sellers and all that other stuff. And there's a lot of like queer themes. There's like cosplay drag and all this other stuff. And
that's fun. Yeah. I like to go to that. Yeah.
And it's cheaper compared to like some of the bigger cons. So, and they've been doing it for 10 years, I guess. And I'd never heard of it until this past year. Because it came up as like a suggestion to me on something, and I was like, "Oh, it's this." I was like, "That looks
cool." Was it also at the Javits too?
No, it was at the Sheraton in Midtown.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not big enough to be in the Javits Center, but it was fun. It was a good time. Met a lot of queer artists. There's a lot of like independent comic writers at that one. Mm-hmm. I mean, there always is, but there was a lot. Like they all were doing like, queer themed ones and like trying to do more like queer catered comics, and it was nice. It was like a lot of little independent comics. Ooh. And books in general. I bought a book somewhere. It has a bunch of like short queer stories, sci-fi themed. Mm. All right, nice. We've been talking a lot. So let's get into the topic. Well, actually, in the theme of like Comic-Con and stuff, because a lot of Comic-Cons, New York, San Diego, whatever Comic-Con, has a lot of celebrities that go through it, obviously, with shows and movies and all that other stuff. And the topic today was just like in a different vein that celebrities are in, just like with the climate of the world right now in terms like politically, it's an election year. Yeah. It's a lot of stuff just generally is going on, even if it's not politically, a lot of global issues, Palestine and other countries that are in turmoil and other stuff. So the question was, should celebrities use their platforms for political, global, etc. kind of issues? So, what do you think? Like, do you want to start off?
Initial thoughts. I have been thinking about this for quite some time, I mean, especially with elections coming, especially with Israel and Palestine, especially with all of the global turmoil that's been going on right now. And I have felt conflicted about it because at first glance, I see people and they have enormous platforms. And I think that if you have an enormous platform, even if you don't use it for political, current events, news, a big platform is also a huge influence. And if you have a huge fan base and a loyal fan base, I think those people could be easily influenced by that stance, whatever stance you take, if you have such an enormous platform. So at face value, in the beginning of all of this Israel-Palestine stuff and everything else going on in the world, and, you know, like, if you were sort of like very elusive with where you stand politically, I felt away. I felt like, why aren't you saying something if you have an enormous platform? And why aren't you like, and I'm not the type of person to be like, ban every celebrity who hasn't said anything about
Which
this one and this one and this one.
Something that is to be said about these kinds of things.
I'm always going to be like, what's going on? Like, why haven't you said anything if you have this platform, if you have such a big influence, you know? But then the other side of me says, oh, you're not a political figure and you're not someone in the news. And you use your platform to give the people somewhere to escape to from all the fucking turmoil going on in the world, right? So then the question comes back to, should you use your platform to give those issues some popularity so people can be in the know? Because a lot of people are so passive about everything going on, you know? And that's where I'm like a little bit like confused on, because I want to give sympathy to those people because those people are making a living doing what they love to do and making people feel good, you know? And then if those people bring those issues to your face, it's like, now you're not making anybody feel good. Now you're making people face what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I have comments on that. I mean? So I get, because I kind of feel the same. But the problem with, especially with internet culture, I think this goes into a lot of stuff we've talked in the past. But, you know, Elise Myers, she used to be a TikTok person. She just, honestly, was just like, she always did funny stories, that like stuff that she did and family stuff. But she got bullied off the internet because she didn't speak about issues outright. So there is, and she's just a regular person who happened to get popular on TikTok, and she used that as like a job. And, you know, and people, she basically got just under fire. She seems so nice, honestly, but came under fire because she didn't really speak up. And I don't think she's the only person who that's happened to.
No, not at all.
Granted, it is TikTok famous, but that's still hundreds of thousands, maybe even to the millions of followers. And she seemed like and I don't know her, nor I can say that about anybody on their internet, but I would like to say that I always thought she seemed like a genuinely just funny, feel-good person who has a family that she has to support, you know, and so it's kind of sad to have seen her basically get bullied off the internet for it. So it's hard to say not to, because I think there is something to saying, bringing up the issues so it could bring light to them. I think that using your platform actually is a benefit. I think it's an untapped way to actually bring issue. And I get what you're saying, because they are doing, their job is to make you feel good when there is so much happening in the world. But I think it's a balance of like, you should bring it up once in a while. Maybe it's not an all the time thing, but I think it's good to bring attention to it with a platform, you know? But then there comes the question of, obviously celebrities, you know, they're rich, they're famous, they have big platforms. But at the same time, if we're just looking at a base value, they are still people that live in this country like the rest of us. They just happen to have bigger platforms because they're famous. So saying that like celebrities should just stay out of it because they're not political figures is also an interesting question, because neither are we, but we also have our own opinions politically that we try to discuss with other people in the same sect, right? So because we're all people that live here. And although, and then with celebrities, they probably have family and friends and other people that they keep out of the spotlight also, you know. there's a certain extent that I'm sure celebrities keep their lives, tried to keep, at least attempt to keep them private in some ways for, extended family to be in their own thing. And those are just people living in the world as well. So it's a hard thing to say, like, when people are like, like when it always came politically, like when you go back to like a, getting on your knee during the anthem kind of thing, and people getting angry and be like, oh, you're just a football player, go back to playing football. Or with any celebrity that does anything similar. I mean, again, there are also people living in this country, and whether or not, again, we don't know them, who knows what their motivations are, but let's say they are genuinely trying to bring attention because they know they have the platform and they want to positively bring an outcome, right? So they're using their platform. But then they'll also get a lot of shit for it. So I mean, should we bar them from being and then there's also the misinformed, and this also will, or the people who maybe don't agree with you, like a Noah Schnapp situation of being a Zionist and doing a bunch of and celebrities on that sector, or celebrities who do speak out positively again for things like Haley Williams or Serge Tankian from System of a Down, who have always been very forward with their political views and global issue views. I mean, if you've ever listened to System of a Down in your life, the songs are come on. Yes. It's like the people who don't understand that Rage Against the Machine is raging against your machine, and it's like, obviously they have a lot of privilege because they are famous and celebrities. But again, they are people living in this country who probably have people that they're close to that are in the spotlight with them. So those people will also be affected, And even if that may be a selfish reason because they're caring about the people close to them. But I mean, a lot of us do that. We do a lot of things for the people that we personally care about as well. So it's an interesting question.
It is. And, just to piggyback off of that, I feel that even celebrity or not, I think that people don't feel super affected with worldly issues until it impacts them emotionally and when it's close to home. I feel like a lot of people are like that. I think that we do a good job of staying in our bubble, and we are such a sort of like an individualistic country. We're always just like, we're in New York City. We're like just walking or whatever. We see somebody fall and trip in the street. We keep going. Some of us keep going. Some of us are just like, hey, would you like some help? Seems like you fell. And I feel like that's a lot of what goes on just in the world right now, where we're just kind of like, we're in our own world. We have our own problems, da-da-da-da-da. But I think it's interesting how people don't react until it's like, ooh, oh shit.
Yeah, well, I also feel like, do you agree that people don't even care, like regular people like us don't even care about global issues until a celebrity mentions it? And in a negative way. Yeah. As in, all of a sudden they're a patriot and they're like, wait a minute,
of
like
course.
You wouldn't have cared about that before.
Of course. Exactly. That's why, like, I heard something the other day. I was watching something that says some shit like, I think it was in the thousands or like tens and 20,000 or more than 20,000 people registered to vote because Taylor Swift told them to.
Oh, I want to bring something up too that you mentioned earlier. So yeah,
like what? And it's crazy, and that's why I come back to this. Like, if you are a celebrity, you have a big platform, and if you alone, just one person, have the ability to tell all your fans to vote, because honestly, people are so passive about politics. Especially people our age, Gen Z, people are really passive about it. People don't really care. So if Taylor Swift can influence 30-something thousand people to vote, and all you have to do is say like one word. All you have to do is just say, hey, free Palestine. Hey, then I come back to this, like, then why not use it once in a while?
But then you brought up an interesting issue earlier about how people will just do anything a celebrity that they like tells them to do, because that's true. And we have talked about standoms and the crazy fan culture and parasocial relationships, because like a Taylor Swift, awesome that she can get a bunch of people to vote, but like, especially like, Swifties don't come after me. I mean, you're gonna have to deal with that at some point.
Whatever.
But it's just like, I'm gonna speak specifically Swiftie because, like, because this comes from a person who doesn't hate Taylor Swift, nor am I a massive fan of her. I'm very neutral about her, like the cognitive dissonance that some of these Swifties have. That they will literally do anything that Taylor says, or no matter how bad an accusation will come to like her, you can't speak anything badly about her because they will. And I feel like if the worse the issue, the more they get defensive in that sense, and that's kind of dangerous also in a sense, like where if somebody is trying to use their platform for what they like, actually trying to inform people, but like. The fandoms and the parasocial weirdos are taking it at face value. Like, yeah, I'll do it. And it's like, that's it? So it is. And that also brings the question, I don't know if that's a celebrity's fault. Because that just seems like, especially in our world of tech, and we talked about the reliance on tech, and again, parasocial shit, because it comes up all the time, and especially after COVID, nobody knows how to socially be out anymore. Everything is like online. Everything is honestly just a lot. And parasocial relationships have honestly just been so weird. Like we talked about the Chappell Roan thing, which she's come under fire recently because she said no to someone for a photo, which I'm just like, guys, get over your fucking selves. Because when she's not Chappell Roan, she's Kaylee. I don't remember her last name, but she's just Kaylee when she's not Chappell, you know? And there's a point where like a Swiftie, like I will say Taylor does play into her fandom a little bit, which I feel like maybe sets a weird precedent for other celebrities because not that she deserves some, it has gotten to a point where it's out of control that people dissect everything she does. Like she can post a picture of a cat, but then if the cat is wearing something like a collar that's a specific color, people look into that shit or something, you know?
She plays into it.
Which is a little dangerous for other celebrities in a similar sense, you know? Like a Chappell who had a meteoric rise, but she's probably only got the money recently because touring costs money, and she's been touring for like a straight year now nonstop. So like, and touring costs artists money a lot because they're basically doing this to get more attention, but like so and they'll get some money for sure, but like it's usually a break-even situation. So I can't even put Chappell on the same level as Taylor because Taylor's already a pure revenue rise, right? Although Chappell's attention is probably as high, I can't put her in the same category as a Taylor because I don't think she's as rich as her yet. At least not yet, you know? But like, so it's different for Taylor. Not that she deserves anyone fucking. She actually herself has said that she can't put where she lives anymore because it's become dangerous for her. And that's when, you know, Swifties take that as an example. When your own queen is telling you, I can't tell you where I live because
it's weird. Scared. It's weird.
You know,
it's really strange.
That's weird because at a point it will just go out of control, especially with the internet. And unfortunately, the celebrity themselves, it's honestly the crazy standoms become bigger than the celebrity at a point. And they can't control it anymore. And so when you're talking global issues and politically, and I think it's good to bring up issues when you have a big platform, it's also scary because there's all these individuals in the country that, because then, you know, we're speaking specifically United States, if anyone who's not from the US happens to watch this. But it's just like, what about, you know, the internet kind of like, I hate using the word crazy because I don't like using it, but I'm just saying like the internet crazies that are going to come out the woodwork, and they're also voting members, you know? And I will say, you said that Gen Z and millennials don't care politically, and I honestly think it's the opposite, because I know so many older people that don't vote because they're very in the mind of like, it's not going to change anything. But also because the millennials and Gen Zs got so fucked from the boomer generation, I feel like we do care a lot, to be honest, because we're all broke and have anxiety and can't buy a home, you know? And that includes Gen Zs. That's Gen Z, that's millennial, some Gen Xers. And I think we got so fucked by an older generation that we're trying to fix the older generation's problems that they brought. You know, and I actually think I know a lot of young people. Yeah. I've heard a lot of young people like on TikTok and I hear people talk more about issues than I had remembered growing up, really.
Yeah. I feel like it's just kind of like people are just like, because people are passive, but like it's my experience right now has been like the opposite, where it's like now people are very much like on the fence of voting at all because of the options that are laid out in front of us. Like it seems like we're fucked either way. But lately I've been leaning to like this. I'm gonna just say the good side. But there's like a lot of people that I've heard that don't feel like they want to vote at all. That it's just kind of like, the system's broken. It's like, what's it gonna do anyway? And all that stuff. And then I've heard older people say they're definitely gonna vote. So it's interesting. I guess maybe it's just like who you talk to. Depends.
Yeah.
But yes, I do agree that there's a lot of young people talking about issues right now, talking about policies online. Definitely. Like,
the issue I also see is that obviously president's a big thing, but I wonder how many people actually look into their local government and actually look into that. And I think that's something all of us need to do more, because everyone is putting a huge focus on the president, which you should. I don't think Donald Trump should be around, in my own opinion. You know, I'm just saying that's my opinion. But at the same time, you know, a lot of stuff gets affected by our local governments, especially where you live. And you need to also look into that kind of stuff. Like, I'm trying to do research on New York right now, just like who's running and stuff in our counties and stuff, just because a lot of stuff goes to local government. And the president is there, you know, but there are some things that will go straight to local stuff, and you should know more about that. And I think everyone needs to go and do more research about that and not give up so easily on voting. Although the presidential thing seems a little hopeless, at the same time, that's really only one part of an entire system, you know? And it starts from where you live. So, like, if you're feeling a little hopeless about it, I think you need to look at it as a whole. And not just this one very obvious thing, which is the presidential debate, but you really need to look what's under that as well, and push certain things in your cities.
I agree. You know? I think looking into your local representatives, signing petitions,
doing some research on your local representatives, like, do it.
I mean, like you have to, you know, especially if anybody that's listening to us lives in a red state or a swing state, definitely look into that. Because I feel like maybe like if you're in a blue state and you have liberal views, maybe you would feel a little bit more comfortable. But look into the policies of what your representatives are advocating for.
Like, even with New York, which is, you know, blue state, at the same time, you know, there's still legislations and small laws that everyone complains about, you know, and infrastructure issues and other stuff like that. So really look into what their policies are and what they can do in a small level, at least where you live, because that just starts with, and that can spread to other states as well, who, you know, setting a precedent where you live. and seeing how other states will react and stuff, you know? Even if it's liberal, even if it's liberal here, what's their actual policies? How is that going to affect everyone? You know, I just think it's because I know for a fact that I knew a lot of people in past years of voting, not just the last one, but like, you know, all of us, we were all in our early 20s and stuff. And not really reading laws and other stuff. I like did a lot of research on a few that I had to read about more. And just like filling anything in because I only knew about maybe a few things. But know that your vote has multiple choices of many different things. And doing research will benefit, I think will benefit a lot more than just paying attention to the presidential debate, which I still think is obviously important, but there's a lot of things that only your state, you can vote on in your state. And it's a lot of bills and legislations.
100%. 100%. Like it starts locally before it goes nationally. Yeah. I was going to say something
I don't think
else.
we have a hard answer on the celebrity front though, because it's such a nuanced thing. But I'm definitely not the person who's going to say, no, they shouldn't do that because who cares? They're just a football player. Who cares? They're just an actor. But also, who cares what I say? I'm just a regular person living in Brooklyn. So I can say the same thing. Like, why is it only... But like we said, people only seem to pay attention when a celebrity that they don't necessarily agree with says something about it. So I think that's also... Right. You guys, I think people got to do some introspective work.
Yeah. I think the problem with that is just there's so much misinformation. So before you go blindly following what your favorite celebrity stands for, we're like, why don't you think about what you stand for first? Why don't you think about it and go, how would this morally affect me? And how does this sit with me morally and ethically? And how would this impact my family and my friends and myself? And how would I feel if I would possibly just let this go consciously? You know, I think that we really got to ask each other these questions before we go blindly following other people that have nothing to do with our lives.
Yeah, and like I think it's good to see it, and like, and if a celebrity brings something to your attention that you didn't know, I think that's great. I actually think that's really great. But I would say this for anything. Any sort of subject that you're a fan of, always just do your own research. I mean, because all of this, again, is our own opinion. So just to like state that again, this is all opinion. Nothing is for fact. Yes. But that's why you can hear what we say, but you got to do your own research and actually do research and do your thing. Look shit up. The internet exists. It's free. You know, people act like the internet doesn't exist, which there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, but that's, again, where the research comes in. You do your own thing. You talk to people.
Yes.
You do the internet shit.
You got to make sure that you're looking at facts and you're not looking at somebody just spewing out their own opinion like us. Like, we're not the end all be all. Like, please use Google. Please use AI for good. And that. Use AI for your own research, you know, not just to spread some lies like some people.
But yeah, I mean, I think there is a benefit to the celebrity thing. And I feel like the negative of it is actually on the people, on the fans themselves. So well, not even just fans. I mean, the people that will judge it however they will. And I think that's on them as well.
I think it's there's cancel culture is so scary. So scary for somebody who's under the limelight. Like, going back to Chaperone, I feel so badly that she has come under attack for simply stating her boundaries. And like, I think that's ridiculous. She's like, listen, I don't know any of y'all. I don't love any of y'all. I appreciate y'all for being there for my music.
Well, I always say too, that's like, just because your boss pays you your salary, are you going to agree to let them have access to you 24/7? Obviously, it's in a different sense, but it's, people act like because they pay for the shows. But that's the thing, you're paying for the show. You're paying for the show. That's what you paid for. It's like how there's meet and greets. You pay to meet and greet. And
bye.
Hello. You know, and that goes for any celebrity. But also it's just like, and I hate when people are like, she just can't handle it as a pop star. I'm like, do you know how many, especially female celebrities, have had to leave the internet because of all the, because it's also a date, not just to them, but the people in their lives. Because people will dig. And people bring up a lot the Christina Grimmie back in 2016. She was a YouTube star who became famous, and
oh my god, wow,
shot her at a meet and greet. And then, you know, and the thing is, that story too, I think she went to go hug him because he was at the meet and greet, and he just, because he was obsessed with her. And it's like a cautionary tale,
that's so
you know?
fucking scary.
And I think just because she's a celebrity, she's allowed to be afraid for her life. Again, a big
people
Taylor
are really
Swift.
Weird out there.
Taylor Swift has the money and the security to try to protect her from that kind of shit. But not every celebrity has that.
No.
You know? And even, like I said, even Taylor Swift is afraid for her safety sometimes. And I think it's even harsher on female celebrities than male.
Right.
Not that men can't also be harassed, because they can, but it's just, you know.
Yeah. Really awful, nasty people, because you know what it is? I think stans have the have the influence and like the wherewithal to love you so much and then to fucking hate you the next minute. Like, these are stans. Stans will fucking stand until they up and unalive you.
I know it's like funny to like be like, oh yeah, I stan you, or say it like ironically, or like say it as a joke, but like remember that stan stands for stalker fan.
Weird. It's weird.
It's weird. And stalkers, stans, I feel like have been around as long as celebrities have been around. You know, celebrity idolization has always been around, but the internet boom has made it so much worse.
Yeah. I think
as a person really who is chronically online, I think it's bad.
Okay. I think it's really interesting how the theme of parasocial relationships keeps coming up in our episodes
because
lately.
It's just I guess we're just doing a lot of subjects that I have to. I think we got to do a funny one next pod, guys. Sorry. We got to try to do a funny one maybe next time, because
we'll make you laugh next time,
because we do want to talk, you know, what we believe in, but also we're here for shits and giggles too, and I think we need to bring a funny one next time. We gotta.
Yeah, there's not a solid answer on this. I guess maybe we could sort of maybe ask the comment section.
I think my I guess if I had to put an answer to it is that I don't think it's on the celebrity necessarily. I think as people in general, they're allowed to, whether they're a terrible person or not, or a good, like a better positive person about things. The people who digest their content really have to do introspective work and figure out what they actually want. And I think that will be my answer. I think it's on the audience, to be real with you.
Yeah. I think it's cool for your favorite celeb to mention something about what's going on, just because like it's a big platform, it's a huge influence, and if say that celebrity has already sort of portrayed things and belief systems that you think you believe in, and they haven't said anything, maybe something to think about, maybe something to like, maybe you don't idolize them, maybe you don't fucking stand them.
But I also feel like they're also not required to say anything, again, as people. And because they have a big platform, I don't think they're going to win either way. Because they might say something and they might get canceled. Or the people who don't agree with them will come at them. But it's also when they don't say something, people are like, why aren't you saying something about it? So I kind of feel like it's a lose-lose in that sense.
Lose-lose situation either way, right?
You know.
Let them be people. Let them just be people. I guess.
I mean, and you're allowed to say stuff about them. You know, not saying that, like, before anyone thinks that you can't say anything about a celebrity. You can say anything you want about them. But I'm just saying that they don't necessarily have to say anything or not say anything, you know? They're going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So you're going to say what you're going to say.
Like, if you're so mad about something, then why don't you just put your voice out there instead? You know? And maybe meet like-minded individuals who will share that same belief and same.
But yeah, a lot of stuff's going on. Stuff is scary. And let yourself also be a normal human. Definitely pay attention to issues, bring rise to them, but also take a break for your brain sometimes.
Relax. Okay, because if you're in the news cycle all the time, it is very easy to be just overwhelmed and taken in by all that's going on.
Feel like a responsibility when they're not outwardly saying anything about anything, like, oh, am I responsible to do this and stuff? But like, I don't know, we're all people. I think that we're all allowed to feel how we feel and do what we need to do for ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah. We got a little deep. Yeah, let's do a funny one next time. I think my brain is hurt and my heart.
Yeah. We'll do a funny one next time. I think my brain is very overwhelmed by everything that's going on.
Yeah, I think I'm getting a little overwhelmed.
I hear you. I think we need to laugh a little bit next time. A lot of it.
But yeah.
Alrighty.
I think that's it.
That wraps it up.
You can find us on YouTube and Spotify, video and audio at 30s Dirty and a Fountain. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram, also at 30s Dirty Thoughtin. Email us, whatever you fucking feel like. Well, keep it appropriate, I guess. You know, let's keep it appropriate. At 30 Dirty. At 30 Dirty Thoughtin at gmail.com. You can find me and Mel on the socials individually. I'm Dope Lorrie. She is Mel.Gusta. And thank you for coming.
For watching. Comment, like, subscribe.
Please subscribe. Please rate us on Spotify and like our stuff on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. I realize that I think we reach more people on YouTube than Spotify, but you know, if you have Spotify, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah,
hit us up.
Thank you for coming. Goodbye.
Hey guys.